Scribd Audio presents A Summer with Montaigne on the Art of Living Well by Antoine Compagnon. Read for you by Stella. People would be lying on the beach or sipping cocktails, getting ready to have lunch, and they'd hear you chatting about Montaigne on the radio. When Philippe Val asked me to give a short talk about essays on France Inter every weekday for the span of a summer, the idea seemed quite bizarre to me, and the challenge of it so risky that I didn't dare try to wriggle out of it. First of all, reducing Montaigne to brief extracts went completely against everything I had learned and against the conventional wisdom of my student years. Back then, they were denouncing the practice of pulling traditional morals out of the essays in the form of single sentences and advocating going back to the text with all its complexity and contradictions. Anyone trying to serve Montaigne up in bite-sized pieces would have been ridiculed straight away, declared minus abens, and consigned to the dustbin of history, like Pierre Charon, the author of Traité de la Sagesse, on wisdom, a collection of maxims borrowed from the essays. Breaking this taboo, or finding a way around it, was a tempting proposition. Next, choosing 40 or so passages of a few lines, each in order to chat briefly about them, while at the same time showing both their historic significance and their current relevance, seemed an impossibly tall order. Should I just choose pages at random, like St. Augustine opening the Bible? Should I have a third party pick them? Should I just tear through the major themes of the book, give a broad overview of its richness and diversity? Or should I simply focus on a few of my favorite excerpts, without worrying too much about unity or completeness? In the end, I did all of these things at once, without order or premeditation. Finally, being on the air during the time slot once occupied by Lucien Jeunesse, to whom I owed the best part of my adolescent knowledge, was an offer impossible to refuse. Chapter 1. Engagement. Because Montaigne deliberately portrayed himself as a plain-dealing man of leisure, one of the idle rich who kept himself secluded on the family estate and had withdrawn to the refuge of his library, we forget that he was also a public man deeply engaged in...
Sample complete. Ready to continue?